I saw wasn't human.
Oh my God!
It was very tall. What's more, it saw me. This thing.
Rawhead Rex.
This podcast is not safe for work and will feature movie spoilers. It will feature scenes described of a graphic nature. It will contain language which most listeners may find offensive. Welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. And welcome back to another Rawhead Rex in PCs on the podcast Under the Stairs, a sub-series of this podcast where we take the movie Rawhead Rex, beloved classic from 1985. We split it up into digestible 5-minute reviewable segments and I get podcasters from around the world to join me. You would think on paper that sounds fun, but then you forget. And then you remember, this is the podcast Under the Stairs, so there's extra fuckery afoot. In the case of this one, this particular series will be recorded and then the release order randomised, which means that this will not play linear for you. This could be the very first episode you're listening to, it could be the end, it could be somewhere in between, which is very confusing when you consider that this episode will be covering minutes 45 through 50 of the movie. That means we will be starting at the 45-minute mark with David Duke, Mr. Hallenbeck closing the boot of his car and getting ready to leave town with his family at the 45-minute mark. And at the 50-minute mark, the same Mr. Hallenbeck is looking concerned at a bush. That is literally that's the bookends for this one. Joining me, I'm very excited about this one. She is making her NPC's debut, although she's been on podcasts on this loads. Is my good buddy Lacy Lou. How you doing, Lacy?
I'm good, Mr. Duncan. Do we have double Duncan here today?
You just single Duncan, although double Duncan is on the series. And I'll tell you right now, that other Duncan is a pain in the dick. So,
like, how much fuckery can you get when you double yourself?
Oh, you're like, listen. Like, have you ever seen the movie Multiplicity?
Yes, I tried to do a GIF of that one day and it just didn't make any sense whatsoever.
I do get the impression. Yeah, I get the impression that Double Duncan might be one of the wonky clones. You know what I mean? Things aren't quite right there.
You're like the one, yeah.
Yeah. Did you? This is a question that I didn't even bother to ask you even when we were chatting about this on like text and stuff. Had you seen Rawhead Rex before?
No, today was a first time watch.
Fuck. So I'm assuming that you, because this is everyone has their own technique in doing these, and I find it fascinating to hear how people have approached it. Some people watch the entire movie and then they just take notes at the 2-minute, the 2 5-minute segments have. Some people, the ones that have seen the movie before, are just watching the 5 minutes in isolation, and then other people are watching the 2 5 minutes but then watching the movie from start all the way through, or vice versa, watching the movie all the way through and then just singling out those two. For you, I take it this was a full movie watch, but you just reviewed the segments as they came up.
That is 100% correct.
So, without going into too much spoilery territory about your 2 5 minutes, what were your overall impressions of Rawhead Rex?
It was kind of funny because Dana had never seen it either.
Oh wow! Right.
Yeah, so he's watching it with me, but like he was kind of like on his phone, and like my minutes were coming up to where I like really needed to hone in and focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to me, and I was like, "Dan, stop it!" Like, I was like, "I got it." I was like 2 minutes before like the 45-minute mark came up. I was like, "Stop it! I gotta pay attention."
Need to make sure that I don't miss any of these very important details that happen in this movie.
Right. I didn't know what to expect because, like, going into it, like, I had no idea whether I was given like a boring segment, a fun segment, you know, because like, but the whole movie itself, like, it seemed like there was consistently something happening every 5 minutes. So, it's a great pick for this type of format of podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's always something goofy going on at least every couple of minutes where there's a bit of dialogue or something. You're like, I mean, I just don't know why that choice. Like, I mean, like, why this? And like overall, at the end of it, though, did you enjoy it though, or was it kind of? Because I imagine you probably heard it mentioned loads before, and mostly in the wrong. Like the amount of people that think this is a Clive Barker movie when it isn't. It's actually based on a Clive Barker novel, and like Clive Barker hated this movie so much. That he said that the next thing that would be adapted from his work would be something he directed, which was Hellraiser. So in a world where this movie is better than what it is currently, Clive Barker doesn't make Hellraiser, which is just weird. So
Right.
also, like, as I've been finding out while chatting to people, because I love educating people in stupid like trivia nonsense that just doesn't make any sense. This movie is a year before Predator. And the dude in the Rawhead Rex suit also plays the Predator. And there's a couple of scenes in this movie which are very Predator. Like the way the bodies are strung up. Like the red glowing eyes, which just might as well be laser targets. I'm just going to say that the people that made Predator may have ripped off Rawhead Rex.
This wouldn't have been something that like I probably ever would have watched unless it pops up. But I'm glad that I watched it because I actually did have fun with it. It was interesting. It's like these kind of movies are fun to me and they're fun to podcast on. It kind of reminds me of like doing like the Night of the Demons sequels last year for Thrills and Chills because you never knew what you were going to get each scene. Yeah. So, I was really excited. But when I got my minutes, I was excited because I was like, okay, well, like 45 minutes in, usually there's something good that's happening, like within that time frame, right? And then I was like, ooh, and then I get like right at the hour mark, like we're getting into like the third act here. Something awesome has to happen here. So I was excited about the times that I was given.
Yeah, you landed one with a lot of exposition, and then you landed a much better one afterwards, which seems to be the prevailing thing for everyone just now. I don't think any one podcaster has landed two back-to-back absolute banger 5 minutes. There's always been we're a lot of police and a lot of talking and a lot about Jesus now. Yay. So with that in mind, let's get into it. So like minutes 45 through 50. This essentially we're starting right off with David Duke's character, Mr. Halmbeck.
Yes, rest in peace.
He's the as Gary described him earlier on when I was recording him today, he's the whitest white American ever. With that, like with the name that he has and the fact he's wearing like the comfiest looking cardigan ever. You know what I mean? As cold as it is in Ireland, it is never that cold that you need to wear something like that. And he is outside the Tall Man, which is not a reference to Phantasm at all, which is the pub that he and his family have been staying at. Classy. And they're getting ready to pack up and leave town. And there's this whole 5 minutes here, and it's probably worth like stressing this, is really just banal chat. And kind of, oh, my wife's so silly, kind of conversation. And then you know, not much else out with that, with a little bit of detective stuff in between, and maybe the worst drawing of a Rawhead
Oh
Rex.
my god. Okay. As I was watching this, Duncan, I was like, oh, please let me get a scene where, you know, Rawhead is on there, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And literally this fucking scene happens.
Yeah.
And all I get is a fucking shitty ass drawing.
Yeah, you get a drawing, and it is a bad drawing as well. See what the cop says. Jesus Christ! I think the bit that's missing is, what the fuck is this supposed to be? Like, go and get that kid in here and tell him I don't care if his brother was just massacred in front of him. I need more detail to go on. It's fucking awful. Well, let's talk about some shite chat here. Duke's in the car and he's like, okay, where to, milady? And she says, well, I'm having trouble reading the map. And then we get a little bit of casual 80s sexism here, as David Duke goes, ha ha ha, how surprising, your mother's having trouble reading the map. And they drive out the village. And the next stop is Dublin, which this poor woman has only wanted to go to Dublin all the way through this movie. And all it costs her is the life of a child in a future scene.
No McDonald's.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is the thing, right? This is 1986 as well. So McDonald's is in the UK, but it isn't in every big city. And I can't speak for Ireland, because, you know, Ireland itself, where they are, is out with the UK. So I don't know when they got McDonald's. So I'm going to say maybe not in 1986. There may have been no McDonald's in Ireland in 1986. I'm sure there'll be listeners out there that'll prove me wrong on that one, but I'm just saying, this little kid just wants his Mickey D's, and I don't think, I think he never got it before he died. R.I.P. small child. This is, it's funny how things don't change in car journeys. Like the kids moaning about McDonald's, the little girl's asking, are they almost there? And you know, mum's like, no, for the 15th time. And the boy's like, I'm hungry. And I'm just like, this is a boring 5 minutes. I feel sorry for Lacy, who was really excited about getting involved with this series, and this is what we're giving her. But just as you were thinking that things were just going to be boring and dialogue heavy, they drive past the field, Lacy, and would you believe it? There's a Rawhead Rex in that field. There must be. We saw it quickly. Let's slam the brakes on. The wife says, oh God.
Why wouldn't you just keep going, though? Like, this is funny, though. Like, I was talking to Dan about this, because I was like, you know, always shouting at the TV. Why are you stopping? Like you're seeing, like, the opening scene where the dude's, like, getting butchered, and the pregnant woman is just, like, standing there watching when she should be running away, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. But, like, I kind of understand it, because I'm like, all right, I kind of want to see him get murked too. Mm-hmm. Oh, now you're coming after me. All right, now I'm going to go. So I get it. You know, like, I want to see the entertainment of the dude getting, like, I'm never going to get this again in my lifetime. Yeah. But I don't know. Would I movie? Probably not.
Yeah, there's a part of me, she's been through she is like all the way through this. She's been the casual wife sitting in the background, listening to her husband moan about things, and, you know, him doing his studies for his book and all the rest. And all the way through this, all she's wanted is Dublin. That is all she's wanted. And we're driving past the field, and there's something weird there. And once she acknowledges there's something weird in there, and her husband says, do you want me to go back and we'll check it out? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, no. Like, what we do? Like, I would say that this is not his fault that the son dies. This is all on the wife. I'm just saying it's her fault.
That's all. You're blaming the wife. Yeah, wait, at this point, like in these 5 minutes, I don't know the son died yet.
Oh, this is also true. This is also true. In this isolated 5 minutes here, that could be in any order. Actually, this could be the first. This could be the first episode that drops in the series, and I'm talking about all the characters that are dying, just spoiling everything for everyone. Why not?
No. Well, because like when he does go back though, like he doesn't even like put the car, like he doesn't even turn around. He literally just like puts the car in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, this is how much interest he's shown this, which is also weird because he, at this point in the movie, watching it chronologically, has already stormed into a police station and mentioned that it was a giant 9-foot, cockeyed, red, angry-eyed demon thing on top of a hill, which isn't a sheep. He's very clear to, well, it's not cattle. And so, like, you would have thought, like, especially with all the stuff he's tried, all the folklore stuff and all the rest, you would have thought he would have been a little bit more inquisitive about this, but he seems quite keen to get out of there. And yeah, it's all very weird. They go back anyway, and another bit of kind of, once again, casual sexism from the 80s. They drive back, and wouldn't you believe it, it's just a scarecrow. Silly mum.
It's a scarecrow.
And she's like, I don't know, it's this bloody place. And he's like, bloody place, you're starting to sound more Irish every day. I think it's time to move on. And they continue to drive. And oh, how I laughed, Lacey. I laughed and laughed.
Like, you're like, oh, they're still getting out.
Yeah, they're going to get out here. Nothing bad's going to happen, except we are at the police station now. And we never properly get the police officers' names. I'm sure they are mentioned casually, so I have referred to them as Detective and Detective 2. Detective 2 is the one that walks in and wakes up the detective saying, "Sir." And I'm going to do bad Irish accents, because why not? And the detective says, "What?" And he says, "We've got something." And the other detective says, "The Nicholson woman?" And he says, "No, sir, she's refusing to speak. Some kind of trauma, apparently." I mean, some kind of trauma, apparently, as if trauma is just a made-up word. You know, like that. Yeah, she just saw her boyfriend, like, shredded in front of her and ran along with his hand in her hand. But, she's got some trauma. You know, women's things, like trauma. Like that fake thing called trauma that stops them talking. It's just so, like, dismissive of police officers, like, trauma. Yeah, oh, bloody women. And he says, "Well, what then?" And he says, "It's the boy, sir, Neil Johnson." "Oh, he's talked then." "Not talked exactly. Then what?" And then he pulls out this kind of manila folder, and you're like, by Jove, they've cracked the case. And then we get this line here, and it's just fucking expertly, comically timed here, because, like, we still haven't seen the drawing. He says, "Down at the hospital, Conroy was left to look after him, where we spoke to the parents." I don't know why it's going mildly pirate, so I apologise. "The kid wouldn't say a word, not a word. So Conroy gave him stuff to play with, you know, papers and pens, and the kid started drawing." And like the detective's like, "Oh fuck, we got a drawing here?" And then he pulls it and says, "God almighty." And then the camera pans around, and I've written here, this is the worst picture of Rawhead Rex ever. Because it is just like a really bad outline and a couple of red eyes and some couple of red drippy teeth, and that's about it. And you do forget that the kid that drew this had the worst mullet in the history of mullets, and that's obviously affected his ability to draw. What did you think when you saw the drawing? Like was it like did you have a laugh when you saw it?
Yeah, I was, well, because I was like, I hope Rawhead Rex is in my segment.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was like, fingers crossed. I mean, he technically was, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, all I got was the fucking drawing.
You got this piece of high art.
I would frame it.
Yeah.
And like kiss it goodnight every night. It would be like, you know, like the 80s pinup posters. Like,
oh, good God. Yeah. Like no
like,
longer do I
mean,
have new kids on the block. I have Rawhead Rex drawn by a kid. I love that idea.
It was the sexiest drawing I've ever seen.
What I love about this, as well as like the detective number 2 that has produced this drawing, which he's felt is so important that he needs to make his boss up and tell him this story, says, "Maybe the Yank was right. Maybe there's something out there." And I'm thinking to myself, right, when the American came in, we laughed him out because his description was 9 foot something red eyes. This kid's drawn blob with red eyes. Must be the same thing. Must be the same thing. In fact, you know what? We need to put some police resource on this. Like, how fucking bad are these cops? Like, really, 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 really bad. Almost as bad as these parents, because on the road the family is driving when the girl says that she needs a toilet. After a bit of toing and froing, Hallenbeck says it's too far to the next time. we're just going to stop right here. So they pull in conveniently beside an old gate. And once again, not that I want to single out the mum for bad parenting here, but Hallenbeck says, you want to go with her? And she says, she's okay, she can go on her own. Go on, Mindy. And the girl says, where?
My mom would have never let that shit fly.
No! Like, I'm a guy, and I'm sure that when I was like 12, my mum still would have been like, I think I should go with you. And I'd be like, I think that's wrong. You know what I mean? It's like never in a field in the middle of nowhere after you've just left a town where there's been a minimum of 3 bodies discovered. Yeah, just go pee behind that bush. No one needs to be with you.
Yeah, he was like, just go pee behind that big green bush. And all I could think about was that scene from Harry and Kumar when Jamie Kennedy pops up when Kumar is taking a piss and he just starts pissing next to him. Is this your special bush?
That's a guy thing though. There's a weird guy thing. Dan will back me up on this. There is a guy thing that if you go into like a toilets at like an office block or like a restaurant or whatever, and there's like maybe 4 empty urinals and you stand at one, someone that comes in will stand beside you as opposed to using the ones further away for no reason at all other than I want to make this whole pee session the most uncomfortable that you could possibly have. Like, I don't get it. I don't do it, but there's a whole swath of people out there that do it. And she's just lucky she didn't go around there and Rawhead Rex was peeing, because that would have been really awkward. So, like, the mum's been very blasé. Hallenbeck's having none of it. He stops for a second and goes, you know what, I'm going to go with her. And he takes her as far as the gate, tells her to go and pee behind the bush. The girl goes up there, and at first, David Duke's all kind of like, you know what, everything's okay. And then animal noises in the distance. He pulls a weird face. He looks concerned. We focus on the bush, and that's the end of your 5 minutes. A riveting, pivotal 5 minutes in this movie. If these 5 minutes weren't in there, Lacey, this movie would be broken. Broken beyond repair.
It felt like a commercial because like the logo on like pee.
Yep.
And then all we get is like some eerie noises and some freaking birds chirping. And then I literally paused it. So it felt like a commercial break because I had to go. And so I was like, oh. So during my segment, I'm not going to look at it or not.
Yeah.
I really want to expect. I predict what happened. So I didn't know if the little girl was being eaten by Rawhead Rex, or maybe it's the scarecrow came to life, and then you see Pearl from fucking Pearl.
Oh yeah.
Scarecrow. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, this movie would be completely different if they reversed the car back and Pearl was just straddling a scarecrow. You know what I mean? It's a totally different movie. Like, what the fuck have we done here? Yeah, and so in terms of like dialogue or like particular small segments here, is there anything that like was like, yeah, this is good in these 5 minutes, or are you with me? The reveal of the picture of Rawhead Rex is possibly the best thing that happens in these 5 minutes.
Oh, without a doubt. That and did like the banter between the wife when they're in the car is like rude and like he's like terrible, and like it was just fun. But like yeah, no, by far the Rawhead Rex picture. Because like I said, I just wanted to see Rawhead Rex in my segment, and you know, I can't say that I didn't.
This is true. We didn't shortchange you on that one, Lacey. Now, you are a busy podcaster out there. You're doing tons of different things. Let the listeners know where they can check out your stuff.
On the Cut to the Chase feed, wherever you can find podcasts. I have the Slumber Party Massacres, where I do all the interviews the last week. Cut to the Chase with Dan, obviously. So you can find Lou1122 if you're on Letterboxd or X. I was gonna call it X now. I feel so old. And Instagram. So Lacy Lou1122. You got all my shit from there.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gents, I don't know if this is going to be the first one you heard, the last one you heard, or something in between. All I do know is every single day in October, you're getting an episode of Podcast Under the Stairs, and this whole series will be part of that. So what I will say to you is, even if there isn't a Rawhead Rex episode dropping tomorrow, I will speak to you then regardless. Take care.